I'm Devil David from the Strange Stones, and today you have found us at Silverbrook Cemetery here in Anderson, South Carolina. Join us today as we walk through the graveyard and talk about its history here in the community. We also talk about some of the famous graves of George Ade, the painter, of Joe Fretwell, who designed the costumes for The Exorcist, also for The French Connection. We also talk about Maude Broadwick, who died falling out of a hot air balloon, Alice Humphreys, an author, and Elliott Crayton McCants, a local author as well. So pull up a plot and join us as we look at the Strange Stones.
Before being established in 1870, the 40-acre area of Old Spring Brook was the entry point in Anderson for the Union during the Civil War. Union soldiers had almost destroyed the city, and during the Reconstruction, the graveyard was set up. The first grave is marked as Ross Crayton, a child of one that died in 1879. His grave is one of many baby graves nestled into the solitude here at Old Spring Brook. This cemetery is well maintained with interesting angels and Southern Gothic statuary. In its heyday, it had a pavilion, performance stage, and a large goldfish pond. It was the site for church picnics and school gatherings in Anderson. Over 15,000 people rest here in Old Spring Brook, with all available plots bought up. At the back end of the graveyard, you'll find the paupers' graves lined with lonely crosses and faded ribbon. George Ade was born in 1872 in Illinois. He attended the Washington University School of Fine Art and received a scholarship to study in France, where his fluency in French and charm rushed him into the French art scene. He became renowned for his etchings and his ability to mimic the artistic styles of Whistler and Cézanne. In 1910, he met a musician from Anderson, Mary Orr. The two were married and settled into an Italian artist colony. Ade and his wife became stranded in 1914 at George's solo exhibit in Boston by the aggressions of World War I. They moved to Tryon, North Carolina, opening a vineyard as George painted the local rich and elite that were unaffected by the Great Depression. In 1932, the newly formed Mint Museum commissioned Ade to paint a mural. They proudly unveiled the Baptism of Virginia Dare, considered to be one of Ade's masterpieces.
So George Charles Ade studied in France, and then after they kind of went bankrupt over there, he come back over here, and him and his wife opened a winery in Tryon, North Carolina, because her people are from Anderson. So after he died of heart problems, she brought him here to be buried with her family. So the rest of them are her family, the Orrs.
Joeseph John Fretwell III, or Joe as he was known, was born in 1915. He moved to New York and obtained a 4-year degree in design right before he was drafted into the conflict of World War II. When he come home, he started his work in costume design on Broadway, and then he moved to movies, most notably the movies we know as The Exorcist with Linda Blair, and The French Connection featuring Gene Hackman. Fretwell also worked as designing magic on the TV series Kojak, Cornet Blue, and Hawk. After a long career of designing costumes for TV, movies, and Broadway, Fretwell moved back to his hometown of Anderson in 1992. He was the sole surviving member of his immediate family and came to rest forever in the same small town he was born in. He died in a nursing home on November 5th, 1992.
This is the grave of Maude Broadwick. In 1905, she was doing her aeronautics act, hanging from the ropes of a hot air balloon when she fell to her death 250 feet. A lot of people speculate that it was suicide. When her husband is asked, he said, yes, we were quarreling, but he didn't think she committed suicide.
Elliott Crayton McCants was born 5 months after the Civil War in 96, South Carolina. Considered to be a troublemaker, at age 11 he took off to Abbeville to join a group of men who supported General Wade Hampton in his fight against the carpetbaggers and scallywags destroying the South. He wore his red shirt his future wife made for him and walked some 90 miles because his mother said taking the horse was too dangerous. This event would lead to much of his later novel, White Oak Farm. Over his career, he would write 3 novels and over 200 short stories that appeared in many of the modern-day publishing houses. His first published story, Jim, would earn him $9 in 1898 from the Saturday Evening Post. McCants was also the superintendent of schools in Anderson County, the last of a long line of men to wear their coat to dinner. He died in 1953 at the age of 88. Alice Lee Humphries was a teacher in South Carolina. Even though she never married, she taught thousands of local children. Her 3 books, Angels in Pinafores, 3 Hear the Bells, and Heaven in My Hands, are books filled with short stories about anecdotes of elementary school kids. Her most famous quote, "Every teacher lives on a diet of surprises." Even though her books are currently out of print, they are still cherished and collected among teachers. Here you can see the Cora Whitmire, wife of W.F. Baker, daughter of Dr. P.A. and G.L. Whitmire, age 27 years. Sweet and sacred is thy memory of one so loved. There's a rose on the bottom as well, and you can see the anchor with the chain broke short. Over the shadowy river rest. And this angel is holding its hand to heaven, and the other hand is on the urn and the shroud with another anchor. William Allen Orr, Lieutenant Colonel, Army United States, December 19, 1915 to August 23, 1950. On baton, gallantly, fearlessly, cheerfully, he daily risked his life that others may live. No task in battle dismayed him. On death march, his fortitude, determination, and aid to others inspired the hungry, weary, sick, and dying to keep on going when further efforts seemed futile. In prisoner of war camps on Luzon and in Japan, he suffered humiliation and painful punishment in unrelenting effort to shield comrades against harsh and cruel treatment.
Thank you for taking the time to peruse Silverbrook Cemetery with us. We hope you've enjoyed this. If you know some history we haven't listed, link it below. Or if you know somebody here, let us know. If you enjoyed it, give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to see more, just let us know what you'd like to see. And if you'd like to sponsor us, make sure you go to our Patreon account. Till next time, when we look again under the strange stones, I'm Devil David.